Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm Hannah from the Bangor Public Library, and I just wanted to say a quick hello and thanks for joining us for this workshop along with SCORE Bangor. We're very excited to have Jim from MaineStream Finance to talk a little bit more about that program. And Donna, I'll let you introduce yourself and say anything else you'd like about today.
Thank you, Hannah. So I'm Donna Cassesi, and we have a new name. Actually, we're called SCORE Northern Maine to represent the wide area of our district. I'm really excited about having Jim talk to us today about what MaineStream Finance can do. And Jim is a business advisor and financial coach. One of the things I found out about Jim while I was looking up his bio is that he is has received the SBA Business Champion Award. So congratulations. I don't know when that was, Jim, but that says a lot about what you do for people. And just want to say that for those listening in the future on the recording, that if SCORE can help you, there's some cards here at the Bangor Public Library, and we're happy to help you either grow your business or start your business. Thank you.
Take it away, Jim.
All right. Well, thank you, Donna, and welcome everybody. I'm Jim Macomber with Penquis and MaineStream Finance. I'm a business advisor, HUD housing counseling, and a financial coach. My primary purpose for today is to introduce myself, but also Dee, our new loan officer and portfolio manager for MaineStream Finance. But MaineStream Finance on the business side, we help people develop business plans. We help them look through that process, help them put their projections together. We also help them apply for traditional financing, help them get ready. But also if they may have some credit issues or bumps in the road, we can work with them to work on their credit scores and help them correct some of that issues. But we're also a CDFI, and I'm gonna let Dee talk about that in a minute, what a CDFI can do for a business. So we're here as a resource. It costs nothing to talk with us. We're here as a free resource. We offer workshops. We are statewide. And I've been doing this for Penquis and MaineStream for over 15 years. So I'm here as a resource for you. And if I can't help you, I'll point you to the person that can help you. So I'm going to let Dee talk a little bit about our funding side and what a CDFI is and how that works in MaineStream Finance. Dee.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you all for participating today. Dee Williams, as he said, portfolio manager for MaineStream Finance. I'm excited about the programs that MaineStream has to offer folks. I'm learning as well as I am new to MaineStream, so I'm excited to grow with the clients. We offer a select group of opportunities for people, microloans through the SBA. We do small business loans for working capital, construction, equipment, anything that you need. If you're looking to start up your business, example, if you want to take on some haying or some mowing, that's a common thing in this area where I am. People want to get a tractor, trailer, all the things that go along with that. We're here to help with all those types of things. We have many different opportunities. We have SBA loans, microloans through the SBA, as Jim is very well versed in. As Donna said, he received an award from them for his work with them, so that's great. We also have FAME, who we work with to offer loans for people, for businesses that are starting up. We also offer bridge financing for traditional banking institutions. If there's a loan that maybe the size of the loan need is higher than what the traditional bank can offer, MaineStream pulls in the second position on that, and we offer that bridge financing, to gap that extra dollars that you need to get this started. So there's many different things that we can do for people. We offer a loan from a minimum of $500 up to $200,000. So we can do something as easy as help you with a small project or from the ground up. And that's where Jim and I work together. He can start the process building your business plan, working through that side of things before you then get turned over to the loan side. where I then step in and help underwrite the loan and take it to committee. We are a little different than a traditional bank. We have a loan committee that we have to present our loans to for approval. Before it goes to loan committee, it goes through a series of steps where we have to evaluate your risk rating, your credit, everything, your business plan, your business model, different things, all the parts and pieces that we would need to get you going in that direction. Again, if we receive a loan request that we feel maybe needs a little bit more work or assistance, that's where Jim steps in. He will work side by side with you to get you ready to come back over to the loan side of things.
I have a question for you. You've
Sure.
certainly had a lot of experience in this area, even though you're relatively new to MaineStream Finance. Pete and I work a lot with people who want loans and certainly have at times credit history issues, those kinds of things. What are common issues that you see that might prevent people from getting a loan, and what kinds of things can people do to prepare to be in the best position to get a loan? So if you could kind of give us the benefit of your experience on that.
Sure. So some of the things that we could come up against is new business people starting out. There isn't enough information about the type of business or business plan that they have, what their ideas are. A lot of times people have great ideas in their head, but they don't have it out on paper, like a plan of, and so that is very important right out of the gate, because without the backing of existing business, if you're a 20-year business, obviously it's a lot easier, but if you're a new startup business, you have nothing to rely on, whether profitability, how the business worked. So having a plan in place is crucial. Now, with that said, a new business, obviously you've got to take the steps of your product or your collateral. There's got to be some sort of tangible thing that we can focus on to secure the loan. But we're very creative in that fashion with people. So that's where a lot of times they'll come to us and say, I want a loan, but they haven't provided us a plan of how they're going to build their business or how they're going to get to point B from point A. It's easy to walk in and say, I need $200,000 because I want to start my own hair salon, but are you going to have booth rentals? Are you going to have storefront? Are you going to have, you kind of just got to have that whole plan thought out and put together for us to present. If you have collateral or something that we can collateralize, then it's a little bit easier, because we can say, okay, we're going to put our faith in your plan, but we're going to rely on a mortgage that you have, a piece of equipment that you have to start this business. So there's different areas of that where you would, can kind of run into a roadblock. People come in thinking it's, just, okay, I want a loan, I want to start a business. We all have dreams and aspirations. I want to have a doggy daycare, but I don't have a business plan in place to get it going. So, first steps would be to overcome any, seasonal. That's another thing for this area. If it's a business that's going to be affected seasonally, make sure that you have a plan to, overcome those types of walls.
Boy, that's a great tip, Dee. I hadn't really kind of heard about that or thought about it. I mean, in general, is what do you do during those off months to generate income? I think that is really helpful. Thank you. Yeah, we work with people generally who don't have a lot of money, who are trying to start and bootstrap, and we also talk to people a lot about family and friends, but I think your comment about collateral and, really being specific and realistic, right, about the earnings, because I might want to borrow 200,000, but if I'm only going to make 10,000 during the year, that's probably not going to be a good matchup. And what kind of interest rates are typically charged if we borrow from MaineStream Finance?
So it varies. It may be a little bit higher based on the risk rating that we have. Because so if you're coming in and it's a new business and we're taking a chance per se, It's usually between 5 and 6%, and that is, it's reassessed. It can go up to 20 years, but we reassess it throughout the term of the loan. Like every 5 years, we'll take a look and say, okay, would it make sense now to refinance at a lower rate? Would it make sense to add more collateral, to expand the business? So it's evaluated every so often. And one of the things when you do get approved for a loan with MaineStream Finance on the business side, Jim and Ken will both work with our clients as well to check in with them every so often to make sure things are going as planned in the business plan, to make sure we don't need to step in and give some ideas or offer some help in regards to, you know, how do we expand this? How do we get to where you thought you would be at this point? But then if they are above the point that they're at, we then can say, okay, is this a time to maybe take on another line of product or another area, you know, to expand the business. So I appreciate their work as business counselors to work with our clients and help keep an eye on things, if that makes sense.
No, that's great.
I had a question also, Dee.
Sure, Peter.
Most entrepreneurs will go to their local bank for a loan, and of course, they can work with their banker to secure a small business with an SBA loan. How do potential clients contact you? Do they go through their banker, or how does that work?
So they can reach out to us direct. That's one of the things that we are currently working on, the new director, Jason and myself. Our marketing maybe hasn't been the greatest over the course of the last few years. So we're working on expanding our outreach to people. You'll hear that MaineStream Finance is one of the best kept secrets, and I believe that to be true. We really are. We have a lot to offer, and I feel like we've kind of done a disservice of not putting ourselves out there for people, because we really are that first step or that second chance or that, you know, that helping hand that a lot of Mainers do really need at this time. So we're working on our marketing plan to make ourselves more visible. We're also working on a tangible PDF that we could email to clients to hand out to people such as yourself, that you could give to an interested client, or to some of the banks where they're working with a client that may not qualify for the traditional financing, that they can hand off to them to direct them to us. So we're working on different ways to get ourselves more known. So, and people such as yourself can help direct that as well. But we are working towards getting more exposure for sure. But they can contact us directly. They also can, like working on a loan now with one of Jim's clients who received traditional financing on most of his loan through one of the local financial institutions. And then we are picking up the tail end of it to gap what he needed to purchase an existing business. So he needed a little bit more funds to complete the transaction. So we've stepped in a second position for him. So that's what we're trying to expand, but most local banks know that we're here and able to do that for them.
One other question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Donna.
Another question that I had was, is the large percentage of your loans to people who are starting a business versus existing businesses? I'm just trying to understand what's your typical client. So let's say I've been in business for 10 years, really want to expand, I've done it without loans before. So what percentage of your clients are first-time starting a business?
I think it varies. I don't know the exact percentage, if I'm being honest, but a lot of them are startup businesses that have worked with either Jim or Ken through our counseling services, that they have deemed as loan ready and pass them over to us to go forward with the loan process. Now, we do have existing businesses that, like I said, this one was interesting that I'm working with now. It was a business takeover, buyout from an existing business. So that was exciting to see who this client had his own small business, And then is also purchasing this larger business,
Oh,
you know, to
interesting.
expand his exposure, but also keep a well-known business in the town going. So it's a variety. I don't, like I said, I'm sorry, I don't know the exact percentage. Jim may be able to give a little better.
Yeah, and I'm not looking for an
Because I
exact
am new.
percentage, just trying to understand where your sweet spot is.
Yeah. We don't necessarily have a sweet spot, honestly. We want to help everybody. So I would say, you know, we encourage anybody, but I think it's a good variety of both existing business and new business clients.
And I would agree with that statement. You know, over the years, it's been a lot of startups, but it's also been some clients that we worked with that just wanted to buy new equipment, didn't want to go to a traditional bank because they were comfortable with us. I've even had clients with a new startup and had money in the bank, and they chose us because of our customer service level compared to a commercial banker where we were there to work with them whenever they had a problem. This business that Dee's talking about, it was actually a 2-year process for this person to buy the business. I helped them develop the business plan and all the financials, and worked with the previous owner and their tax records and help negotiate a price through the process. So we can do everything from start to selling. I've got a client now that her husband died that had a woodworking business. And then 2022, she's going to sell off all the assets. So we've been working on how to sell off all those assets. So, I mean, we can do a wide variety of things in our business advising, but also looking at that loan. And if somebody has a bump during the process of the loan, you know, we're talking to them, but they can always reach out to us because we're pretty creative on helping people. We've also had a few grants that we've been able to give away over the years. So there's a lot of different things, and we try to keep track of other grants that are going on to help businesses, whether they're new or existing. And we do a lot of regional work with economic development departments and those kind of things, so that we try to keep our ear to the ground. Like Dee said, a lot of the local commercial bankers that I've worked with over the years know about us and know to reach in and fill in that gap financing. So we're here as that great resource that can make things happen. Just great and available. Dee's a great asset to our team now. You know, she's got that commercial banking. She and I have created a list of where we kind of want to reach out to in certain markets that have been kind of left out over the commercial banking because of the way they operate in Maine. Maine is unique among itself, the way it operates. So we're pretty creative and can work with, and somebody's credit score isn't their number one factor to make a loan. That's only one piece of many pieces.
Exactly.
And that's really important for us to drive home to people is, if you got a credit bump, we're going to work with you to help you fix that and negotiate that, you know, and really look at your credit report and help you ways to improve it. But like I said, credit score is not the number one deciding factor with MaineStream because we're a community financial development institute, which gives us a few flexibilities compared to commercial banks. And that's why we exist. So.
I'll just tag on to that and agree. That was a good point, Jim. There is a misconception among business entrepreneurs or even business people that are established that they're unable to come and get a loan from us because they feel like something's happened maybe in their personal side of things where they've had a life situation that may have caused a credit situation, and they think that that's going to be tied to their financial situation, so they can't increase their business. If you have a business model that makes sense, you have a business plan, or you have collateral that we can, there are many different ways that we can work with a client to give them a business loan. It's not necessarily tied to them being able to guarantee the loan with their own credit or their own finances. So that's a huge thing that we try to explain and get out there to people, because there is that unknown misconception that people think, gosh, you know, I've got medical collections, they're not going to look at me for a business loan. Well, my personal side of things has, you know, nothing to do with my business side. So it's a stigma we're trying to eliminate and try to spread the word and understand that credit does help. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I'm not telling anybody that your credit score doesn't matter. It does matter, but there are ways to overcome when there have been life situations that may have caused a credit issue.
Well, you are certainly the best kept secret, Dee, because you have just differentiated yourself in many ways in compared to a conventional small business loan. Because I, as a mentor with SCORE, I mean, I work very closely with my clients to put together a business plan, including not just the marketing and sales part, but of course, including the financials. And we do have SCORE mentors with financial backgrounds that I call upon, because that's not one of my strengths. But it seems to me that you try to go above and beyond to help the potential client versus others who may not be so proactive in trying to seek out creative ways to make a loan possible for them. One of the most difficult situations that I face with clients, you touched upon. They have the idea. Maybe they've thought about a business plan in part, but they haven't really put it to paper. And I have to talk to them about collateral, as you had mentioned. I have to talk to them about maybe somebody who will co-sign with them, to back up their loan financially. But in the literatures that I read, and in talking to some of our mentors with financial experience, they will pretty much say that most bank loans for new businesses, they prefer to see at least 1 to 2 years of financial history of their business.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they're not really ready to talk to them until they can at least bring 1 to 2 years of actual running the business to them.
And even with traditional banks coming from one, I will say on the commercial side of things, with the times being as such with the pandemic, a lot of the loans went from 80%, collateral held tied by 80% to 100%. And you were right. If they didn't have a business model or some business history, it was pretty much, denied out of the gate, because there was no way to prove the sustainability of the business or how it was gonna, continue to grow and do well. So MaineStream, I will say, that's one of the reasons I'm here. I like the idea that we look outside the box. It's not black or white with MaineStream. It's not, fits inside this box. There is a lot of gray, and there's a lot of gray area in Maine where seasonality plays a part, the business type, the area, a value of a building in Bar Harbor, Maine is going to assess a lot different than one in Dover Foxcroft. And you have to think outside of, you have to be able to see all aspects. And it's not just a comparative, okay, it fits in this block on the sheet. It actually, you take it piece by piece and make it work. So that is one thing that I really am proud to say of MaineStream, and I'm looking forward to expanding and using, because there is a lot of gray, but we can make pretty things out of gray. So,
Well, I come from owning and operating a retail shop in Bar Harbor. And I've had a financial loan officer for 25 years that I was in business, and he became a great counsel. But when I applied for the loan initially as a credit line loan, and when I applied for initially, I had already been in business for, I think, 2 or 3 years, so I did have a history. But it's that kind of a long-term relationship, and I think Jim alluded to that. A loan officer in a bank, I mean, I'm talking about a 25-year history with that loan officer, and meeting annually with him, partially as a requirement for the credit line loan, but also as just to find out more about how the bank can help me. So I assume that you're also looking for that long-term relationship.
absolutely,
That
absolutely.
you're building, because that's, as you know, once they get a loan to start a business, then they may need a credit line loan. And especially in a seasonal business like we have here in Maine and throughout New England, I needed the loan. My business was doing well, but I needed that loan, after usually beginning in January, because I didn't have any money coming in, or I had very little money coming in at that time. I did have a website, but there wasn't much money coming in after January. And then to start things up and pay my federal income and state income taxes in April, that really killed me.
Yeah.
Cash wise. So the seasonality aspect that you touched upon is critical. For those of us who have a seasonal business. Every business has seasonality, but when you basically shut down in the winter, as many do here in Maine, that's
Exactly.
that's when you really got to get creative with your cash flow. So kudos to you for going above and beyond the typical bank loan and situations.
Yeah. Another thing too, Pete, as you probably deal with some of your clients, is the self-employed number of people in the state of Maine. And we all know, I mean, you do what you do, obviously, because you need to support your family and take care of yourself. And so there's sometimes maybe some hard to prove income when you got to pay taxes on it and things of that sort. So another thing MaineStream does is we take all of that into account. We're not afraid to sit down with the client and have those tough conversations. But if the income doesn't match on paper, we find a way to make it make sense. We look at bank statements, we look at other forms of, income slips, or we do whatever we can to make the numbers work. And I don't want to say we're fictitious about it, because I don't want to give a false statement here. But what I'm saying is we look besides the tax return. If the Schedule C is negative, we don't just say, I'm sorry, you don't meet the income requirement. We actually dig and look at other ways to show the income for somebody that would qualify for a loan that may necessarily not fit in the traditional bank box, if that makes sense.
That is very creative.
Yeah.
So, because that's what my clients are looking for, and many of them talk about grants first. What does Maine offer in the way of grants? And I do have a good contact person for that, but again, they got to get pretty creative too, because you go to the grant websites and research. I mean, there's grants for everything, and
Right.
you may or may not fit into that peg that the grant is really aimed at.
No, exactly.
So it's challenging for a new business starting out in so many ways, not just financially, but we do what we can for our clients, but when we get down to the finances, creativity is what it's all about. So. That's
And again,
great.
with creativity, it does need to make sense too. I want to be, clear on that. It's gotta have a good end result for us to invest and take the risk and things of that sort. But at the end of the day, we obviously want to help as many people as we can, and we want to see them, succeed. And I think our plan and our way of doing things is a little different. It's not traditional. But at the end of the day, like Jim said, we have repeat clients because they liked that we were so involved and we monitored, and Jim and Ken were able to, check in and see how things were going and maybe give some direction on how to grow or come up to where you need to be, where we expected you to be at this point in the loan. So I feel like our customer service and our hand holding, if you will makes it a nice, and some people need that, even starting out. Yes, it's important, but even some people like it 20 years in, because that's how they feel they've been successful, is with our help. So
Right. Absolutely. I've got 2 or 3 clients in mind already, so
wonderful.
this is helpful information.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
so you can send them to our website, and I'll email you the link for registering for the advising, but also, and then after that, we can set them up to meet with Dee as well. So we do have a quick intake form that we use with people just to get the basic information. And then also for the loan, that stuff comes in, so we're there to do it. But I mean, like Dee was saying, I have some clients that the longest client that I'm still working with, I've had over 10 years.
Wow.
And one that I work with, he and I talk probably once a week on average. And he's a property management and a rental business. So he's always kind of checking in on new things and just different ways. It might be just a quick chat on Facebook. You know, he's got a question. I may have the answer, I may not, but I know where to research it and get it back to them to keep that business going. And also just kind of as a side note, with any businesses I work with, my work week by nature is Sunday mornings for a little bit, and then I work usually from 5 or 6 in the morning to 9 or 10 o'clock at night, Monday through Wednesday. So, but if one of those times doesn't work for them, I'll meet with somebody on a Saturday, you know, whatever.
Wow.
Where I'm in Dover Foxcroft, so I grew up on a really early time schedule. So I actually have truckers that I work with that park their truck in front of my house right now and do a quick chat, you know. So, you know, and when I was in the office in Dover, the same thing, there'd be a semi out running out front at 6 in the morning because he came to check in on his loan or do whatever he needed to, or got quick advice before he hit the road. So we're really flexible with working with him. And Ken is our person that is down in the Rockland area, but we do work with people statewide, and everything we do right now is virtually. Occasionally we will meet with somebody on a one-to-one, but we really have to prove that it's really the only way that it's going to happen. So.
Well, Jim and Dee, I think this really, although we don't have as many people that probably we'd like to have, I think that given that this is recorded, what a terrific session. Dee, as you start coming up with collateral, marketing collateral, we certainly would love to have it, and we'll distribute that among our mentors. I was just mentioning to Hannah that Jim did a session at the bank pre-COVID, or at the library pre-COVID, around how to turn a hobby into a business. So I think this information is just going to be great. And as Hannah gets people to come into the library, this is a great opportunity. And if you don't already have their link, maybe you can make sure that that's included in the session as well.
Definitely. When I send out the video, I'll include that.
So thank you so much. This is really, I think, been a terrific session. And again, SCORE wants to work with our partners because in the end, we want our clients, both want the same thing as our clients to succeed.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for having us, you know, anytime. In fact, the hobby to business workshop that I do is going to be in November. So I'll send you the link with the information and the flyer to go with that.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for our host.
Yeah.
It was lovely
guys.
meeting you, Dee.
Pete, I look forward to working with your clients. Send them our way. And if you have any questions, if something pops up that you think of and you're like, oh, I wish I had asked that question, Dee Williams at penquis.org, give me a email and I'll do what I can to get an answer for you. I look forward to working with you guys. So
Thank you, Dee. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Great, guys.
everyone.
Have a great day,
Thank
everybody.
you. Take
Bye.
care.